The House to come to order. Clear the well, please. Clear the well. The House has to continue its business.
Well, that was the Democrats attempting to sing "We Shall Overcome." They were censuring Representative Al Green and Bedford. When you look at it, they were struggling a little.
It doesn't seem like they knew the words. It reminded me of when I was a kid and we'd go with our Boy Scout troop to the elderly homes to sing songs together, and people would just kind of join in but they're cosplaying. I mean, this is not a civil rights moment. You're a member of Congress. This is Al Green getting in trouble for being a bad guy. You know,
The Democrats, they couldn't stop the cringe moments because they also had a Choose Your Fighter video that went out on social media. And Bedford, I watched this and I'm like, hold on, like, you know, that's AOC over there. We know these elected officials, and yet they're just jumping into action. Like I would choose any Democrat woman to be my fighter. Are you kidding me?
You can tell which one of them actually work out because some of them seem to kind of know what they've done some Kempo in their life. They know how to move. Other ones look like they were about to fall over. And I just don't see this as a party that's coming back to power anytime soon.
Well, there's Jasmine Crockett right there. For her second appearance of the show, she is trying to become the new AOC. But with all of this in mind, with all of this Democrat cringe out there, this was the question that I asked you today on X is what is your response to all of these videos that we just showed you? So let's start with Leah. She says, getting a lot of attention, but the wrong kind of attention. People actually care what's going on in our government. Those tactics may work on people that have zero idea what's going on, but it looks ridiculous to the rest of us, Bedford.
I mean, I just think you should keep your tongue in your mouth. It's widely considered rude. I have this conversation sometimes.
That's the standard? That's where we draw the line?
I used to have this as an argument with my 7-year-old. My 8-year-old, now that he's 8, seems to understand you don't put your tongue out at people. It's rude. So dancing down the halls of Congress, it's just a funny look.
It is.
Poor manners.
It's not, I mean, it's not great. It's not great. Diane Benjamin wrote, I love watching them lose future elections. Not great if people do have long memories, if they are paying attention. This isn't what you would say is, you know, they would always say, oh, Donald Trump, he's not presidential. Well, are any of these elected officials looking
I mean, it didn't work for the last White House. The last White House was basically their strategy was, I know that the grocery bills are rising, but we just put out a super gay TikTok video. And it didn't actually seem to move the vote. So I just don't think when you're a working class party initially that is struggling with working class voters and connecting with normalcy, well, this is not quite the path home.
Secret Fire replied that if you can't win in the arena of ideas, you bring little paddles and sing songs like kindergartners. I appreciate the snotty tone of that tweet.
I'd love it. I totally agree. And, you know, Democrats are in a funny place. Usually, for years, they had these emotional arguments. They would fight on how you feel. They could fit their ideas in a bumper sticker. Republicans always struggled to do that. Now that's completely reversed. So they've been downgraded to TikTok.
Way back in the day when I was in college, I remember one of my professors was saying, oh, which side do you feel tries to play on your emotions more, right? And again, this is a liberal college. It's the University of Iowa. I would always call it San Francisco East there in Iowa City. And somebody was clearly a Democrat, and they're like, oh, the Republicans try and go and play on your emotions. And I was like, some days I just sat there and just said, you know what, the argument isn't worth it. Today was not that day. I was like, no. I am not letting you get away with this one because the Democrats are always like, oh, but how does it make you feel with this? And they just would go in and just play on your emotions. This is every single Democrat argument that has ever been made is trying to play to your emotions. So I just couldn't sit there and let them have that.
And they've lost their touch. They're not cool.
They used to have good arguments.
They used to be good. They used to actually be able to pull on the heartstrings. But then when you had President Trump up there giving an honorary Secret Service badge to a child who always wanted to be a police officer, who's still fighting brain cancer and lives every day like God gives him, and with that attitude, and they're sitting on their hands and being silent, but at the same time they're trying to pull the emotional heartstrings for the federal bureaucracy. It's just not resonating.
Our coworker Rob Eno replied, they're singing "We Shall Overcome" for a man that makes $174,000 a year. It makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside when you realize that this is what the elected officials are doing with your taxpayer dollars.
I mean, it's all theater. Like, what is a censor? A congressional censure means that you've been shamed. But if you can't be shamed, then what's it mean at all? You might as well start singing theater songs.
When you look at the Democrats right now, usually it's the Republicans that have been just terrible historically on messaging. Back to our earlier point. The Democrats are in a no man's land right now, though. They don't have that clear leadership, right? We get Jasmine Crockett videos instead of, like, AOC isn't even, like, throwing out a ton of videos. We haven't seen AOC's face in quite some time, like, that she's actually, like, making big headlines because of all the crazy things that she's saying. I kind of miss that right now.
And it's to the point that there's a lot of conspiracy theories around Washington, D.C. about whether or not maybe she's expecting. Who knows? They don't know. You don't see her body anymore on any of her tapes, and she's become a lot more quieter. The Republicans have been handed it easy because they're still really, a lot of them are pretty bad at messaging. But at the same time, the comms people have always had to work overtime because they've always been attacked nonstop by the press. And the Democrats are having to work for the first time ever when Joe Biden was exposed after that debate. And they really hated having to answer any questions. But it's easy for Republicans sometimes to do this messaging. When you send Mike Johnson down to the campus at Columbia or NYU and you line him up and say, this is bad, and then you look at what he's talking about, and it's a camp of masked jihad supporters, it's fairly easy messaging to look like the good guy in that, and I'll give it to the Republicans. They are showing up where they need to.
I was surprised, though, because for that vote for Al Green, they actually got 10 Democrats to come over and vote with them. So they were not all happy with that as well.
I mean, Fetterman said it well. He said that this theater makes us look like absolute fools. He used some fairly complicated language. I don't even remember some of the words. It was interesting to see that from the senator from Pennsylvania. But they're right. If you're a Democrat and you're in a swing district and you're trying to appeal to moderate voters, you have to say, you just ruined my day, so shame on you.
Yeah, I saw Hakeem Jeffries came out and said, we told you all not to be the headlines tomorrow after the Donald Trump speech, that we wanted to just go through and have Donald Trump and our attacks on him be what everybody was talking about, but that's not how it turned out.
I mean, in Playbook and the DC newsletters the next day, Fruit Punch and all the other ones, there wasn't even a mention of the Democrat response to the State of the Union, not even a mention of Representative Slotkin.
That to me, again, it just shows how terrible and off-brand their messaging is right now. And it's the golden age of America. It couldn't be any better. And we're going to take these wins for as many days as we can have them, because we don't know how long that's going to last.